Hello and welcome to this urban sketch techniques. And I found this picture of an old city in the Netherlands about 1930, so it's all in black and white. But I know this church and I want to show you how you can draw with that urban sketch technique a street view like this. What I do first is I take the longest vertical so that I know where to place my church. And that stops with the entry. And once I know the entry, I can see the curved line of the pavement on the left side. Also, there's a bicycle stand, and I think that's a nice detail. And I want to keep that in my drawing, so I place that in. And once I have a lead start with the vertical and the left side pavement, I can start building up the church itself. Now the roof has some curves and well, it's a tower and it has well, departments in that it's divided into 6 parts, and we can see the front 3 parts and also the arches of the tower where the bells are hanging. And below that we can see the cubical form of the rest of the tower moving towards the street itself, moving downwards. And you can see a little car that I placed in, so I know where to stop. And I can also see where the left side buildings begin. Should you want to follow the whole process in real time, then you can find me on my Patreon page. Should you want to draw along, there are more than 100 tutorials there in real time if you want to start studying all kinds of techniques. Now for the windows I simply use vertical lines, and this is where the street ends, and this is that very old car, I think 1920, 1930, and well, it's a nice detail. And I know this church it's in my hometown, so it looks very different now, the whole neighborhood, but I wanted to draw this 1900th century drawing. I wanted to see what has changed all in the neighborhood. In the meantime, there are big trees standing there, so I like this picture because, well, it's very old. Well, in the meantime, I'm looking at the right side and there's a nice lantern pole standing in front of the houses on the right side. So I will keep that in my drawing. And as you can see, I'm directly drawing with the ink pen. So I do not make a, what's it called, a graphite for sketch. I just jump in with the ink, and if there are little mistakes I'll just have to well, work around that, I guess. So you can see that the lantern pole has a shadow and that's casted upon the street itself, and I really want to keep that in. And in the meantime I can just draw around the lantern pole to start drawing in the roof on the right side. Now for the buildings I use whimsical lines, and for the pavement I use straight lines, and here are some little windows on top of the roof. I want to keep those in, of course. It's very nice. And then I can see the diagonals of the lower parts of the windows here on this left building. Using verticals again for the windows, and here on the right side, left side, I can see a nice sunscreen. I want to keep that in, and there are shops, and here is a nice ornament on top of the church. I want to keep that in. And that's the fun part about urban drawing. You can just focus on those parts that you think are nice in your drawing. So you do not have to draw in each and every little stone, but just the main shapes and those things that you find attractive. Now this is the side of the pavement on the right side. And I also render in some lines for those parts that I want to darken up later on. Because I'm going to hit this paper with the watercolor. And once you have enough lines and you're happy with the lines, you can start coloring in any way you want. And this is a black and white picture, so I'll just have to imagine the colors. So well, we will see what come out. And this is nice, the edge of the roof, for instance. I really want to keep that in. So and of course the lantern pole, very nice old lantern pole. In the meantime they replaced it with also nice lantern poles, but they are quite different. And this is my this is my watercolor box, and well, I want to paint in a little bit of the sky, and I'm also using white gouache together with the pigments of my watercolor, and just blend them together. And the paper that I'm working on is not quite white. It is well, it's like sandy color paper. And together with the white gouache, it's very nice to draw out the light which is in the sky. So just hit it with the white gouache, and then immediately the buildings appear to be a little bit darker. So that's a very nice technique. And what I always keep in mind is the direction of the sun, and the sun in this case is coming from the right side. So that means that the buildings on the right side are dark. They catch a lot of shadow, while the buildings on the left side will catch a lot of sun. And the buildings cast a shadow on the street too. I look for the dark parts in the church, of course. That's the entry and the little window there on the right. And then I go back in with the Pines Gray for the buildings on the right side. Now, the street partially also picks up the sun. So I make the street a little bit lighter just next to the line of the shadow. And I want to lighten up the building a little bit, and the cars, and of course that great lantern pole. I'll simply hit that with the white gouache to make the lantern pole well, pop up in front. And this is my roof. Just make that a little bit darker because I want it to stand out against the light sky. And I'm building up layers of color and shadows, of course. This is the shadow casted by the lantern pole on the street. And the lantern pole on the left side then of course has a shadow side too. Now this is a different ink pen, it's a little bit thicker, and I can use that for the bicycle holder here, and also for the darker areas, the inside here of the window and underneath the gutters in the buildings, for instance. And here for the inside of the shopping window, so that you get the feel of looking inside into that shop. Also here I want a little bit of shadow underneath the cars, for instance, all those kinds of things that you can use, or to sign your name even. But working with different thickness of fine liners also brings liveliness into your drawings. And well, I think this drawing needs an extra dark shadow here on the right side, because I want to make the lantern pole pop out. So I simply darken up the shadow here in front, so you get a great feel of 3D. And well, that makes a drawing more spectacular if you want to well, push the contrast a little bit. So you can find me on my Patreon page if you want to see the whole process and you want to learn more about drawing in different kinds of techniques. Then you're very welcome to join me there. For now, thank you for watching and take care.